Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. Welcome in to another brand new live edition of Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you on a Monday morning. Welcome in. We are live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department on a Monday morning. Welcome into the program. Welcome into the show. 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the fun as we have your good, the bad, the ugly from over a college football weekend. A weekend that saw Texas come into Tuscaloosa, leave with a 34-24 win. A weekend that saw the Auburn Tigers go on the road and somehow manage to get a 14-10 win over Cal in Cal Berkeley. Probably one of the ugliest games you'll see all season on the college football field, but sometimes ugly can get you a win, and it did for the Auburn Tigers. You look at the SEC as a whole, and especially after the Alabama-Texas game and some of the other performances from teams around the league, you have to say, well, who is the best SEC team, at least in the West? Makes you kind of question things, but we start with Alabama and Texas inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, a game that Quinn Ewers, 24 of 38, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jalen Milroe, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, but more importantly, 2 interceptions. A game that when you start checking off boxes, I don't know how many boxes you can check off with Alabama.
It was not a good performance from Alabama on offense or defense. Special teams, solid. But the problem is, like we said on the Bama Recap show on 97.7 The Zone yesterday at 11 o'clock, when you are saying that Will Reichert's the MVP of the game and he didn't kick the game winner, you're in trouble. So basically he went 3 for 3 on field goal attempts, including booming one from 51 yards that would have probably been good from 57 or 58. It was a heck of a boot there to cut it to 13-9. But again, Alabama didn't have a lot of positives on offense. Yeah. I guess you could say they did make one big play, or really two, but the second big play was more of a broken play because of Alabama had snap issues again. Something's got to be fixed with Seth McLaughlin, a couple of snap infractions, a couple of bad snaps. But this particular snap was just dropped by Jalen Milroe. But to his credit, just like when he scrambled for the 21-yard touchdowns against Middle Tennessee, he didn't panic. He gathered the snap and looked up, kept the play alive, threw the ball over the middle to Amari Niblack, who I believe ran 39 yards for a touchdown. It was kind of a disjointed play because I think Texas, the defense sort of froze because they were wondering, is this another snap infraction? Are they going to blow this dead? What really happened? And it ended up being kind of a weird play, but it cut the lead to a one-score advantage again for Texas, like 27 to 24. But again, after that, Alabama's defense, certainly gave the advantage right back to the Longhorns. Longhorns went right back down the field and scored, just like they did when Milroe made his best play of the game, which was to give Alabama their only lead. It was 16-13 after Milroe made a beautiful, 48-yard touchdown throw to Jermaine Burton. But Alabama had already left a lot of points on the field by not being able to hit some deep shots and some wheel routes and stuff that Tommy Rees had drawn up. And I just felt like, even though Alabama had the lead, I was like, wow. I mean, can the defense hold here? Because they played a lot of snaps, and I had doubts. And then, of course, as soon as the fourth quarter started, Texas was in the midst of going right down the field and scored to make it 20-16. And you just felt like, I just don't know if Alabama can get in a scoring contest with Texas because of the way Quinn Ewers was playing, and Alabama wasn't getting pressure on him. Alabama never disrupted. We talked about it last week. Need to disrupt, need to turn them over, didn't do it.
And the thing going into that game, it was the question of, of which offensive line would play better, Texas's or Alabama's, because neither one of them had been playing very well. And the trend was, okay, who can sustain it? Texas's offensive line outperformed Alabama's offensive line. Ewers did a good job of staying in the pocket, releasing that ball, and Alabama never got pressure on them.
Well, I just think overall when you looked at it, I thought Alabama's O-line had played better against Middle Tennessee and I think Middle Tennessee's a better team than Rice, but I thought Alabama had done a solid job, even though they gave up a sack or two. I thought the sacks one time was a missed blitz pickup, but I thought Alabama's O-line coming in had played pretty decent, but, they got off to a good start against Texas. They were running the ball inside. By the middle of the second quarter, they had nearly what they ended up for the game. They ended up, I think they only rushed for 9 yards in the second half. They had nearly 100 yards already by the middle of the second quarter, but here's what they didn't take advantage of. They were never able to be consistent throwing the ball and supplement it and to make Texas back off. Yeah. And so once they didn't, and then you just mentioned the first interception by Milroe in the first quarter. It was a horrendous throw. And then the one that decided the game was right after 2016. Alabama gets the ball back, first play, and just he doesn't see the safety, and they had nearly run it back for a pick six. They ran it back inside the 5 and score in one play. And once they were able to extend it, Scott, and get the lead out to once again to 10, they were up 13-3 at one point before the end of the half. But when they got up by double digits in the fourth quarter, you just kind of felt like with the way the ebb and the flow of the game was going that they didn't have Bryce Young, and this Alabama team wasn't going to be able to come back from this kind of deficit against the Longhorns like they did a year ago in the fourth quarter, and they were down 19-10.
Well, it's the first double-digit home loss in the Nick Saban era, first home loss since that the Law Monroe.
I was at that game. That was the low point of the season one.
You go back there, but it was the LSU loss. I mean, the first home loss since 2019 when they lost to LSU, and then you go all the way back.
Right. And I was just thinking about Monroe because Monroe was a stunning loss. This one wasn't stunning because Texas is really good.
Right.
But this is the first non-conference loss since that Louisiana Monroe game at home in Nick Saban's first year.
Well, Alabama now 4-3 in their last 7 games against Power 5 opponents. You look at the trend. I know we got a lot of phone calls, and we're going to get to those in just 1 second. But you look at this. Is there a reason for concern? Because the offensive line, again, played okay at times last year, but this was a game that Alabama didn't have the ball in the final minutes with a chance to tie, didn't have the ball in the final minutes with a chance to get a kick for a tie. I mean, this was a resounding loss, but is there a concern going forward that what we're seeing is not just a game or two? This is a trend along some certain areas.
The concern is the offensive line definitely has some issues to fix, but the biggest concern is quarterback. 90% of the loss was on the quarterback. Okay. He did not process information fast enough. 2 or 3 of the 5 sacks, he held the ball too long because you got to help your offensive line out. Caden Proctor, the freshman, was struggling against that talented front of Texas. But again, some of it was 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, 4, 5. You can't hold the ball forever. You got to get rid of it, or you have to take off and use your legs. And I don't think Milroe's decision-making was very good. And when you're 14-27 throwing, Scott, if you go back and watch that game, he had 1 drop, which is on a swing pass to Jace McClellan, and then he threw a beautiful ball for the touchdown of course to Jermaine Burton. Other than that, and maybe that disjointed play to Amari Knobloch where he catches it and then is able to run after the catch, I'd say only 2 or 3 of his throws were accurate the whole night. I mean, the receivers played great, but they had to dive. They had to dive for the ball. They had to on fourth downs, like Malik Benson had to jump and scale a ladder to catch it. They couldn't run after the catch very much because the balls were inaccurate. They had a touchdown, and on that I know they had 2 called back, but it should have been a touchdown coming out of the locker room with Isaiah Bond. He got isolated on a DB for Texas, blew straight by him, and an accurate throw is a 50-plus yard touchdown, but he had to turn around and catch the ball because it was inaccurately thrown. And he had one to Roydell Williams near the end of the half where they had to settle for a field goal to make it 13-6, but he was open down the sideline, but the throw just wasn't accurate enough, and Roydell caught it and then, of course, fell down.
All right, let's get out to the phone lines, 256-576-4977. Pat from Tuscaloosa with us. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Pat. How are you?
Well, I'm alive, but barely. Had to take a bunch of nitroglycerin. Had to take a bottle full of nitroglycerin at the ball game. No, I'm kidding. But first off, Coach Saban needs to leave the Mercedes in the garage, grab the Ferrari because it's faster, and head west to Texas. Give Bo Davis whatever it takes to come to Tuscaloosa. Tell Stanky, kiss my butt. And I can probably say kiss my double A butt or whatever on your show, but and get away with it. But he's got to tell Stanky, I'm Coach Saban. I'm Alabama. I'm going to do what I want to do. And bring Bo Davis because, hey, Freddie Roach is not a defensive line coach. He needs to move back. We don't have a linebacker coach either. He needs to move back to linebacker coach, where it's his natural position. Is anything I'm saying not true?
Well, I definitely think Bo Davis is the best defensive line coach in the country. I thought going in, their group was really tough. They played as good as I thought they were capable of playing. They got pressure, sacks. They stopped the run. Alabama, after that strong start Scott and I were just discussing, did not run the ball well because Bo Davis kept chopping wood and made Alabama one-dimensional because they couldn't throw the football very well. Certainly, I don't think Alabama's been the same since he left up front. They were the last time I think they were good was 2017, where they were elite as a group, and he didn't coach that group, but he left a lot of those recruits there. And certainly, I give Sark a lot of credit for hiring Bo Davis. I think he helped transform that Texas defense, because if you talk to the Texas people, the best part of their team is the D-line. They set the tone physically, and I thought their offensive line played pretty well, even though they didn't run it well until the end of the game, but Sark stayed with it and kept running the ball. But I don't think there's any question. I'll tell you this, Pat, my three biggest questions for Alabama is not so much the offensive line. My biggest three questions after this game were defensive line, outside linebackers, because they were both invisible. Since South Sunseri left, that outside linebacker group has not been nearly as productive. And then the quarterback, just simply because the decision-making wasn't great. The pocket presence was non-existent, and the accuracy and the anticipation's not there. And I just think better quarterback play would help the offensive line immensely, but I think you're 100% right. I think defensive line and outside linebacker is a big question for Alabama right now as far as development and production.
I got you. But Drew, and I got to agree with you. I couldn't talk Martin won't let me talk about the quarterback. He says that none of the other three quarterbacks are able to have they don't have the athleticism that with the play of the offensive line in this particular game, with the play of the offensive line and how bad Seth was. I hate to call out a single name player, but McLaughlin did not center the ball very well in this ball game. Do you not agree with that?
I agree. Scott and I were just talking about how the snaps need to be fixed, but I disagree with Martin in this instance. I've seen all these quarterbacks play. Tyler Buckner is athletic. He can make plays with his legs. He's not as athletic as Jalen Milroe, but he certainly can scramble and get away from pressure. So can Ty Simpson and even Dylan Lonergan, though I'd say the other two, Simpson and Buckner, are more athletic than Lonergan. But I definitely think that and if Alabama's going to make a quarterback change, it would be to Buckner or Ty. And I think either one of them can make plays with their legs as well. And I think probably both would have better pocket presence than Jalen Milroe and a clock in their head and get rid of the football and throw it on time. In my opinion, I just think right now a big part of the passing game struggles is throwing the ball on time and missing guys that are open. And I think there was a lot of that going on Saturday night.
All right, Pat, thanks for the phone call. Let's go to Mark real fast before the break. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark. What's up?
Hey, well, first of all, I missed it. I figured Alabama would come out and take care of business. One thing I wanted to ask y'all's opinion on. Well, first of all, I need to find out, and this is not to blame the officials because Alabama was clearly beat, okay? But I would like to know what crew was that.
I think it was a Big 12 crew, and Alabama had 10 penalties for 90 yards, and most of them were legit. I mean, they committed some late to seal it, offside.
Terrion Arnold, two of them, holding. I mean, they were
I asked,
legitimate.
I was sitting next to another friend in the media, Scott, and you remember the first touchdown that was called back.
Right.
It was called back. The one that was tipped, probably should have been intercepted. It was called in the end zone. And then the second one was right coming out of the third quarter, and they called holding. And I said, because I was in another spot before getting back to my seat, and I said, was it a legit hold? Because, I couldn't tell. And he said, absolutely.
There was one play where Alabama gave up the sack, and it was actually a hold. The referee was literally ready to throw the flag, but it was a sack. And the ESPN guy, they were talking about it, and they went to their rules guy, and they were like, he just ate the flag because really he got the sack, and so it would have added a holding penalty there. It would have been 11 penalties, but the referee decided not to throw the flag because there was already a sack.
Yeah.
Well,
and they had 5 on the night.
I was trying to get at. I could name just as many plays right, like Alabama number 3 on 3rd and 12, key play of the game. He falls down. He gets a pass interference. Probably the worst call I've seen in a long time. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. Also, I like to see consistent calling. So if you allow Texas's line to hold, you're not going to get to the quarterback. There's holding on every play. You can talk to Wes Neighbors about that. But if you're going to call it, so I figured it was not. I figured the officials were not. I guess what I'm hearing is that they're part of the same conference that Texas is in right now. Correct?
Yes, Big 12. That's correct.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. We're going to get back to your phone calls, 256-576-4977. Got a lot to go through on our Good, Bad, the Ugly Monday. Live from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like that wreck at Sparkman and University does have a bus involved, but it's going to turn out to be a no injury from the sound of things. Got some reports of fog this morning, and that kitchen fire on Summerwood in the 1000 block, everything's okay. Sounds like the trucks are clearing from there. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Eck in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Injuries at work happen all the time in Alabama. So do motor vehicle and slip and fall accidents. If you're hurt at work or injured in an accident, I want you to call my good friends at Pond Lehocky Giordano. That's Pond Lehocky, Alabama's injury law firm. They got your back just like they've got mine. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have the state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on. All done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So if you happen to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
The End Zone Sports Bar has done it again. This time, they're bringing their jumbo wings, handcrafted burgers, Tex-Mex, and New York-style pizza to the Mid-City District with their new location on McMurtry Drive Northwest opposite the Target Plaza. Tuesdays at the End Zone means half-price burgers, and Wednesday is $1 jumbo wings all day long. The End Zone also features Sunday ticket for all your NFL viewing. The newest End Zone Sports Bar in the Mid-City District on McMurtry near the Target Plaza. Get in the End Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Nick Saban after the game on Saturday. A lot of people want to know how close he was to maybe playing 2 quarterbacks on Saturday. Here's the coach.
I did, but when he put the drive together to go down the field and score when we got ahead, I thought that gave him a lot of confidence. And, but we never ever discussed it. I can't sit here and say the thought doesn't come to mind for any player that's, having a difficult time. And, but he made some good plays at the end of the game, and that was good to see. Obviously the interception was, critical, in the game. And, so we're just going to work to try to get all our players better.
There you go, Nick Saban. Are you surprised? I mean, I know you touched on it a little bit before, but are you surprised? I know Nick Saban said when he led that drive, and that drive came late in the third quarter, are you surprised that maybe midway through the second or coming out of half that he didn't try to, maybe for a drive or two, give Buckner or Simpson a chance?
Well, when they got down to 13-3 and then Alabama had to kick that that field goal,
right,
near the end of the half to make it 13-6, and the touchdown got called back for Darian Dalcourt being illegally downfield. Remember, it was the tip ball, Scott, that I said could have been picked. They ended up having to settle for a field goal there, and then when he didn't cash in the touchdown pass, as far as the one that he missed to Isaiah Bond, and then it was a completion, but it should have been a TD. And then he did, of course, throw one to Burton, but they called that was a holding on Proctor. When they had to settle for another field goal, I thought that I thought we'd eventually see somebody warming up, because again, it was like when I saw the scrimmage in the fall. They only scored field goals. He couldn't finish drives, right, and they weren't finishing, and you just kind of felt like eventually Texas is fixing to hit a big play. I mean, but Alabama, to their credit defensively, they played better in the third quarter and kept Texas off the board. And then and as you heard Coach Saban, he was thinking about it himself, and then he hit the deep ball to go up 16-13. But I'll be honest, where I thought it was going to happen is the second horrendous interception, which led to the early fourth quarter 27-16 deficit where Alabama's down 10 again.
Yeah.
And you just felt like, okay, he threw one touchdown pass, but it just doesn't feel like Alabama's going to be able to generate enough in the passing game to be able to come back.
Yep.
And I thought we'd see, because I immediately got a text. Is there someone warming up on the sideline? And you're using your binoculars and you see nothing. And you're just like, there's nobody warming up, which surprised me. And as you heard Coach say, he briefly thought about it but never discussed it with Tommy Rees. And so there you go.
All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. Wolverine Dan with us. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Dan.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Drew, you really hit the nail on the head. There were some issues with the offensive line and quarterback play. But I think you and I both agree Milrose is too good of an athlete. I really think he's better suited, maybe carrying the ball, H-back, wide receiver. You've got talented quarterbacks. I think you should make a move now. I mean, because he proved it on the field. I think Milrose, again, would be better suited just carrying the ball. Don't you agree?
Well, I think he could be an outstanding, like, all-purpose, like Swiss Army knife type weapon. Run the ball, throw it to him. You could use him on halfback, like gadget type plays to throw. But when you're having to have him attempt, let's just say 25 to 30 passes a game, the accuracy and the decision making just hasn't been there. You're right, Dan. He has explosive speed. He can run a 4.4. He would be a weapon, no doubt about it. But I just don't think when you're talking about processing, getting rid of the football on time, going through your reads and progressions, I just don't think Jalen Milroe is ever going to be an effective QB1 to win a championship. Now, can Alabama win games? Can they go to a bowl game? Yes, but when you're trying to win the SEC West and get to Atlanta, I don't think he's the answer.
Did you have the same feeling though early on? And I say early on with Jalen Hurts when he first took over as quarterback for Alabama, to going through the maturation process.
No, because here's what Jalen had that where he's different from Milroe. They're both mobile,
right?
But Jalen could throw short and intermediate passes and move the chains. And where Jalen struggled every now and then, he'd hit one, was the deep ball. He struggled to stretch it every now and then. But in another thing he didn't do, did you see horrendous interceptions like you saw from Milroe? Jalen Hurts didn't turn the ball over.
Okay.
In his career at Alabama, nearly 2 years, I think he had 10 turnovers. In two of the three starts, Milroe has had 6 turnovers. 2 of those 3. He didn't turn it over at all against Middle Tennessee, but against Texas and Texas A&M, 6 turnovers. Okay. That's the difference. Jalen Hurts always took care of the ball.
Well, real quick, 2 takes, and then I'll get off the phone and let people talk. I'm very pleased in my performance. Our team, the second game, JJ, passing percentages is off the hook. The guy is so accurate, and even on the run, so Corum played really well. I still think he's got one less step in his speed-wise.
For the injury, injury?
Yeah, but he's still effective, Judy, very effective. And Edwards is a real good running back. Our defense is starting to play better. Again, we're not playing top-notch opponents, but we'll see how it plays out. But I will say this about Alabama. That game going into Tuscaloosa with playing Texas the year before, that quarterback is a really, really good quarterback. I mean, he got hurt last year. Very well could have won the game last year. So I think that game was almost a straight-up game. I really do. And obviously the score proves it. But that was a tough game for you guys to schedule. I don't care if it was in Tuscaloosa. Don't you agree?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, the toughest matchup for the SEC so far. Texas is legit. If they stay focused, they got a chance to win the Big 12 and definitely be in the playoff mix.
12 teams, guys. 12 teams.
Yes.
So I'll make a prediction, and this is probably not – I'm not stretching my neck out. Alabama's going to be in the playoffs forever. 12 teams, Alabama's going to be in the playoffs forever. So, I mean, it's not such a big – it's only one game, okay? Come on, you guys could win out and then win it SEC, and then you're in the playoffs. So, but next year, I guarantee it, you'll be in the playoffs every year.
Thanks for the phone call, Wolverine Dan. Let's stay on the phone lines. Brandon with us. Good morning, Brandon.
What's up, Brandon?
I'd love to say it's a good morning, but I ain't gonna say that it's good. It's just a morning. You can't tell me that they didn't see this in practice throughout the year with his bad decision making. I mean, he threw those interceptions, basically the same pass pattern, right into the chest of the defender.
Yes.
And, I mean, I don't know if Saban just wants him to be good or what. But at this point, you've got to make a decision right here, right now, this week. Either this is your guy for the rest of the year, good, bad, and ugly, and we're going to try to develop him, or you make the change in Tampa. There is no either or. You either got to stick with him or you got to move on from him. And I'm really interested to see what goes on because Saban is just not a quarterback-changing guy. So I think the rest of our season depends on whether we're going to ride it out with him and try to develop him under live fire or we bring somebody else in. But it's getting a little too late in the season for QB carousel. So We need some certainty, and I don't know where it's coming from. I really don't know what to expect. What's he going to do in Tampa this week?
Well, and let me ask you this. Why, Drew, I mean, I know he struggled to pass the ball, but why was Jalen Milroe not a more – why wasn't there more designed runs for Jalen Milroe, do you think?
I mean, that's a valid question. I did think there were some times he could have taken off, though, on broken plays where there was room in the middle of the field, but he held on to the ball too long and took sacks. Didn't move up in the pocket. The pocket presence wasn't there, because if you help the tackle, move up in the pocket. There was a couple times he did, and I thought he threw the ball pretty well. I thought when he was stationary and didn't try to throw the ball on the move or step into the throw, that's when everything was sailing on him. But I thought there was a couple of chances where he could have taken off. Now, I'll give Texas credit for this. A few times he did scramble on broken plays and move the chains, but they only allowed him one quarterback draw at 20 yards. And remember what C.J. Vogel said on our show.
They were going to take him away.
They were going to take away the run. They had their defensive staff had not given up more than 50 yards rushing to a quarterback, and they did it again. They did a good job of running him down and keeping a spy on him and keeping him close. Not
so they
giving
couldn't
up
even do designed runs.
So it was harder.
Right.
I think now they did some RPO early, and he had a little bit of success, but he didn't really keep the football, and they probably could have done that a little more. But I'll just say this. Go back and watch the film. There was throws available. There was big plays available in the passing game, and the accuracy and the decision-making and the timing just wasn't there.
All right, Brandon, thanks for the phone call. We got a lot of calls I want to try to get. Let's get Joe from Huntsville real fast. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, good morning.
What's up, Joe?
How y'all doing?
Good, sir. Good, sir.
I just got just a quick thing. People talking about Milroe. Nick Saban's at practice. He knows what he has. Maybe this guy's the best they've got right now, and that's all. I think people need to trust Saban. They've been trusting him for the last almost 2 decades, and he's the best thing since sliced bread, and things start going a little haywire, and all of a sudden they're questioning everything he does. What I want to say is, what happened to the Bama defense? Everyone's talking about Milroe. Would you give up 30-some points? Maybe defense gets off the field. Maybe that may help them out a little bit.
Well,
that's a point.
They were on the field for 100 plays. I don't think they had a great plan. I think they should have blitzed more. I think they should have been more aggressive. I thought they attacked against Middle Tennessee. I didn't think they attacked enough against Texas. But Coach Saban, he's the one that said in the press conference that the plan was to rush 4 or 5 and go with and then try to cover and try to get home with 4 or 5 man pressures, which didn't work because Freddie Roach is stealing money.
All right. Well, y'all have a good one, man.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the call.
I tell you what, let's get a break in. Bama Bino, I know you're holding. I want to get to you coming out of the break, so stay with us. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday night, expect a partly cloudy sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the upper 60s heading into the overnight. For your Tuesday, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible mainly in the afternoon. Otherwise, we'll sit under a partly cloudy sky. High temperatures going to be topping out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like we may have a shooting investigation going on around Beard and Poplar. One person's gone to the hospital with what is described as non-life-threatening injuries from that one. Accident-wise, we had one at Sparkman and University reported with a bus involved. No kids on the bus apparently, and no injury reported. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Don't let your back or neck pain get in the way. Get back to doing the things you love with the spine and neuro team from Huntsville Hospital. As the most experienced in the area, we have been improving lives in North Alabama for more than 50 years. Whether your favorite fishing hole is on Wilson Lake in the Shoals, Flint Creek, or Lake Gunnersville, Spine and Neuro is nearby to get you back to your best. Visit us online at spineandneuro.com to learn more.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you on a Monday morning. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the show on this Monday. You're good, the bad, the ugly from college football weekend. We want to hear from you. Bama Bino is where we start coming out of the break. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. I'm not a Mr. Fix-It-All, but I know one thing. You have to be in shape, and that starts before the game. Our offensive line wasn't in shape. They looked like they were the heavy team they were. But that all those big offensive linemen doesn't mean anything if they can't move and slide their feet and block properly. We had poor discipline, not knowing when the snap count is or not watching the ball, something. Pass coverage, the technique on breaking up passes. We've got a couple of guys that knows how to do that, but it comes to a point where you can't blame it on Pete Golden this year, and I think we've got a different secondary coach. You grab a guy's jersey, run down the field 15 yards with him with your hand on his jersey, pulling him. I mean, they're going to call it, and you need to smile about it. We get no pressure. Since Pruitt's left, no pressure on quarterbacks. And in the end game, we don't adjust. We've never adjusted. And usually we're so good that our ability will make up for it. But Saban's never adjusted. If he goes with it, he's gonna sink or swim with it. We don't adjust during the game, and I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on Bama Bino on the premise that I didn't like the defensive plan. I didn't think it was aggressive enough. I thought they should have brought more pressure in the second half. I thought you've got to disrupt Ewers. You got to get in his face. You got to make him feel you. I mean, that's how they knocked him out last year, was, hitting him. You got to affect the quarterback. They didn't do that. You need to. They get you the biggest stats in the game to me were 5 sacks for Texas, none for Alabama, 2 turnovers for Alabama, none for Texas. Texas did fumble 3 times, and Alabama didn't recover any of them. You've got to make game-changing turnovers, and then you have to be balanced offensively and efficient. And I thought the plan offensively, especially early to run the ball, was good. They just didn't execute in the passing game, and that's where the rubber's going to meet the road going forward. Can Milroe find some consistency in the passing game? I have doubts on that, that he's ever going to be, that consistent. So we'll see. But again, Bama Bino, I agree with your premise there. The secondary coach actually is the same as Travarius Robinson, but they did change inside linebackers coaches and defensive coordinator, and it's going to be really interesting to see where this defense goes, because I thought they looked really good in the first game, but that's against Middle Tennessee, not Texas, and see kind of where this defense goes from here as well.
Do they not tell him to play the ball anymore? I mean, you've heard me harp on that. But when that guy turns around, you're not losing any steps, because if he turns around, he's losing a step too. Turn around. When that man looks, turn around. He's looking for the ball, not his girlfriend. I mean, we just, our heads, the back of our heads, always to the ball, and they're looking at the guy in the eye, and, influence with him at the last minute. There's something. I mean, maybe I don't know everything, but there's something we're missing on secondary coverage. If they line the ball up, throw it every time, we're going to get in a finish call. Now, there's one or two that doesn't do that, and I haven't paid attention to what number that actually plays proper technique, but they're breaking the ball up and keeping them from completing them. But I think it's McKinsey, but he's doing proper, I think, most of the time. But of course, he's not on every play. But if you can't snap the ball, so that one time that he hit him just on a little flash play, it caused his timing to go off. When that ball, he had to dig it out of the ground, and he had get adjusted to where he was at, and he didn't throw it like he really wanted to if he was upright throwing. If you can't snap the ball and you're not in shape, I don't know what you call. I don't know what plays you can call. If we can't block and we can't pass, you're either going to move it passing or running. That's the only 2 things you can do in football. So, I mean, I really don't know. I think the preparation should have been done this summer with getting in shape, number one. But anyway, I'll leave it with y'all, and thanks for the call.
Thank you for holding, Bama Bino. I appreciate the call, man.
Thanks for y'all's dedication.
Thanks, Bama Bino. Yeah, and good stuff there. And we'll undress that here in just a second, but let's go back out to the phone lines. Lewis is back with us. Good morning, Lewis.
Morning, Lewis.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning.
Man, I love hearing this. What happened? Why? What could happen? Honestly, I don't know if I'm the only one that felt like this, but Texas didn't look that impressive to me. Self-inflicted things on Alabama's side is the reason they lost that game. But Texas did not look that impressive. They just made Alabama look different. And I might be wrong, but that's what I saw when I was Alabama lost. Imagine if y'all would have played Texas for the first game. It probably would have been worse than it was.
Yeah, it might have been about as bad as Florida State and LSU.
You're right about that. Exactly right about that. But I'm glad y'all had that practice game first. What I'm saying is, that's the only way you're going to see what you have to work on when you play competition. But I don't think all the blame goes on Milroe, because he did good. He had some mess-ups, but he did all right. But if they're not blocking for him, what can he do? He's not Bryce Young. He's Milroe.
Yeah, and Lewis, I think Saturday's game, as much as you might not be, pleased with how Texas's performance, maybe a lot of it was Alabama. I think the concerning thing is that so many times over the past several seasons, especially in the second half, what Texas did, we are used to seeing Alabama do. Put those drives together in the fourth quarter and find ways to pull away with a win. We didn't see that from Alabama. Alabama got a lead 16-13, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, okay, the switch is on. Alabama's defense is going to come out. They're going to get a stop. Then the offense is going to come back. Jalen Milroe has a little bit of momentum. We're going to see this Alabama team start to play downhill. And we saw just the opposite. We saw the defense come out and, bam, give up a touchdown in less than a minute. We're not used to seeing things that we saw from Alabama on Saturday, and I think that's where a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads saying, wait a minute, what Texas looked like is what Alabama was looking like.
Yeah, you're right about that, but I just don't see it in Texas. Texas played okay. I think they played better last season. That's just me, and I'm not trying to take anything away from them because they won. But I think they played better last season than what they did this season. If Bama didn't have 2 penalties called back, they would have been in the lead in third quarter, and it probably would have been game over. They had 2 touchdowns that was called back for penalties. So if that not had happened, imagine how they'd be up. But if an if was a fit, everybody be drunk. That's what they say. I'm just saying, Texas looked okay.
I mean, Texas missed a few long balls, too, that could have put more points on the board as well. I mean, you could say both teams left points out there.
Biggest thing is Ewers outplayed Milroe. He took care of the ball, and he did his job, and he distributed it, and Alabama struggled in the passing game big time.
Right about that. So what y'all think about Auburn going out to Cali and finally winning?
They found a way, man. It was ugly, but I had Auburn winning, but I had them winning in a track meet. I didn't think it would turn into a fist fight. And it turned into a fist fight.
Can you call that a fist fight?
I guess. I mean, in this era of football, if you hold somebody to 10, that's pretty dadgum good. Okay?
It was almost like Cal was like, here, you take the ball.
Unbelievable. They combined for 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was just everybody was turning it over. But, I mean, I just felt like Auburn found a way. I mean, Peyton Thorne didn't have a great game, but when he had to have one drive, they finally got the ball to Felrather, who made 2 plays. And then Elijah Asante in the defense and DJ James, they closed it out.
Asante's going to be pretty good.
Asante had 12 tackles. The way he carried over from what he's done in camp. Auburn still has a lot of questions to answer, but finding a way to win was unbelievable. And Cal missed 3 field goals. I mean, they imploded in the red zone.
Thanks for the phone call, Lewis. We are up against a break. Let's get a break in. When we come back, let's unpack that Auburn trip to Cal a little bit.
Wow.
Rewind what went on there out west for the Auburn Tigers, and let's look ahead. All that and more when we return live from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck in Limestone County on 127 off Highway 99. That one may have an injury involved. Had one at Sparkman and University with a bus involved. No injury there. That one should be wrapped up. And we got a problem with a traffic signal on Modus Road at Rec Center Road. That one apparently is not functioning properly. Decatur PD's looking at it now. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Allison lost 100 pounds in 7 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. I had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And yes, my son Lewis McDonald enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of your friends. He is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And you can't be in this community doing business without knowing Wes neighbors.
I don't know about that, but it sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and the different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we're closed business. We close some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The Auburn Tigers went out west where they hadn't won in the history. And it's been tough for the Auburn Tigers out west. Their last trip was that BCS National Championship game against Florida State. And they go out there on Saturday, and I don't know, somehow, some way, they dig down deep, and they manage to get a win over Cal 14-10 in a game that was almost kind of like, here, you take the ball. No, you take the ball. No, you take the ball. No, you take it. Nobody really wanted it, but Auburn gets the win. If you look at the Auburn Tigers, Drew, going forward, quarterback, we talked a lot about the Alabama quarterback situation. Auburn kind of, I don't know if they're in the same boat or what, but Peyton Thorne looked good on the last drive. Didn't look good in spurts of that game. The running game, Auburn's got to figure something out on who gets the ball. They've got so many guys back there. They got to figure out who gets the ball. Jarquez Hunter came back Saturday in that game, but some players starting to develop for Auburn. You can see who's going to be the playmakers. Now you got to get the ball into those playmakers' hands.
You do, and they did finally get it to Rivaldo Fairweather. Brian Matthews has told us repeatedly how good he looked in practice. He had the two biggest plays of the game, really, on the third down, moving the chains for 28 yards, and then the touchdown in the red zone to win the game for Auburn. He had 3 for 39, and they were all huge. And just to put it into perspective, Peyton Thorne as a whole,
right?
He only had 6 other completions and only threw for 94 yards. So Ashford
rotated him quite a bit. Did they got to stop?
Well, I don't know. They like to use Robbie in the red zone, but Justin Wilcox, who's a really good defensive mind, they did a good job of playing and containing Robbie Ashford.
Right.
Okay, and the Auburn offensive line struggled just like Alabama struggled at times on Saturday. So I think, I don't think it's back to the drawing board. It's just got to keep plugging a little bit. They need to get more production out of Thorne. He's got to throw the ball better. But I think Auburn was backed up a lot. Field position wasn't great. And then the turnovers. I mean, you had 4 turnovers, and so you can't turn the ball over. But luckily, the Auburn defense and Ron Roberts, they stood on their head. They forced 3 turnovers of their own. And they held in the red zone. They made Cal settle for field goals, and unfortunately, Cal doesn't have Will Reichert, so they missed three. They missed one from 42, missed another from 42, and missed from 44. So they had Ryan Flugner, and so they didn't win the game. And so you got to be able to execute in the kicking game.
Right.
Auburn rolled that dice. Auburn kept them out of the end zone. That's what you got to do. Keep battling, keep them out of the end zone, and then you're still in the game down 10-7 late after Cal blew another field goal. It would have put them up 13-7 and had a near touchdown, would have put the game away probably. But you're right there, and Auburn took full advantage of it. And Thorne, as a quarterback, your job is to score more points than the other team. Okay, and that's what he did. He put one drive together, and he found a way to win. And it was ugly, but you'll take it. And
right.
It's a building block for Auburn, and big for their defense, which hasn't been good for the last couple of years.
And I believe now, Samford this weekend?
Yes,
for
correct.
Auburn.
They host Samford. Yep.
A chance to kind of continue to work on things, continue to try to develop. Going into the SEC competition. But anyway, you look at and the Pac-12 had a good run going on until Auburn got a win over Cal, and then Mississippi State got a big win over a pretty improved, not great, but a pretty improved Arizona ball club at home. So you look at the SEC as a whole, Drew, through the first 2 weeks of college football, the SEC against Power 5 opponents, 3-6 right now against Power 5 opponents, 0-4 against ranked out-of-conference Power 5 teams. What is going on with the SEC right now as a conference? Is it overreaction? Is it a year where you just have to sit there and say, okay, the SEC has been so powerful in college football, but maybe this is not our year?
I mean, it's too early. Let's just wait and see what happens, see how everything plays itself out. I mean, I think you haven't even started conference play.
Right.
And so you got to see how everybody reacts to conference play. You could say the SEC is overrated so far. I guess it hasn't been great out of conference, but let's see if Texas can handle prosperity. Let's see if Florida State can handle prosperity, because there are going to be a lot of lights being shown on them.
Yes.
People talking about Heisman trophies and just give yourself a championship and all that stuff. And so we'll see, because I thought Texas had a good team last year after they played Alabama off their feet, and they choked and lost 5 games. So we'll see.
But is there a team in the SEC outside of Georgia? I mean, Georgia was okay against Ball State.
Georgia's played nobody.
Right. But is there a team outside of the league then? Is there a team in this league that you can sit here and say, I'm awfully impressed at how they've played through 2 weeks?
I mean, not really. I mean, I think overall, because it's obvious Tennessee played nobody. I mean, they were losing to Austin Peay.
They had a hard time with Austin Peay.
For God's sakes. And Virginia lost to James Madison.
Yeah.
Okay. Virginia is not even the best team in their own state, so they're not very good. So I just think, I was talking to somebody about this Saturday. Do we know who? We don't. We don't know who's good yet. You've got to let it play out. I think Texas should win the Big 12, okay? I think they're really good.
Right.
But can they handle the prosperity of it? Can they handle the teams like Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, some of these talented teams in this conference, even the Iowa States of the world that are going to game plan for them and have coached against them for years and know them so well in your conference?
Right.
Can they handle that? Alabama's done a remarkable job of handling that in the SEC for the most part, and being able to recover from losses like we just saw against Texas. But will this Alabama team be able to? We don't know. We'll find out a lot about that in 2 weeks. I mean, Alabama will beat South Florida. I'll say that. South Florida is a rebuilding program that nearly lost to Florida A&M. They don't have the horses. But Ole Miss certainly does, and they'll check Alabama's oil big time.
Yeah, but you look at that, and Ole Miss, granted, it was in Tulane. It was hot. It was humid in New Orleans, and Ole Miss, we knew going in against the Green Wave, that was going to be a tough ball game. It was indeed for the Rebels. in New Orleans. It was not easy. Nothing about it easy.
On the campus of Tulane.
There was nothing easy with that one.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting ride so far through 2 weeks for the SEC. Well, when we come back, Travis Reier will join us here in just 2 minutes as we talk about Alabama's loss to Texas. What does it mean going forward? What does he want to see from this Alabama team going forward? Travis Reier next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the GBank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
Monday Night Football tonight, the Buffalo Bills in New York. They'll take on the Jets at MetLife Stadium. Buffalo coming off a 13-3 season, while the Jets, who have not made the playoffs since 2010, will have Aaron Rodgers starting at quarterback. Buffalo is a 2-point favorite on the road, minus 126 on the money line. The Jets are plus 108. The over-under tonight at MetLife Stadium is at 45.5. New Jets running back Dalvin Cook minus 105 to be an anytime touchdown scorer in tonight's game, while Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills plus 150 to score a touchdown. For VSiN.com, I'm Tony Desiri, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And Hour 1, just to get you caught up on everything, we recapped Alabama's setback to Texas, Auburn's win over Cal on the road in California, which is something the Tigers had not done ever.
His first win in California ever for Auburn.
Yep, first win out on there, and Hugh Freeze, I guarantee you, as long as Hugh Freeze is there at Auburn, the Tigers will not be going out west at all. Again,
he looked exhausted, honestly. I watched the press conference.
Yeah, not because of the way Auburn played, but just he was not a fan of going out west.
Because he looked at his watch, he said, you know what, it's 1 o'clock back home.
Yeah, well, they arrived back. Auburn did arrive back in dawn.
Yeah.
They left, because that is one of the things the NCAA does, and still don't understand that. You get done playing a 4-quarter football game, and I know Auburn wanted to get out of there, but still the NCAA basically ushers you on the first available plane out there, and you are gone. But Auburn did arrive back. Anyway, we've kind of recapped what was a crazy weekend in SEC football. We'll talk more about the conference as the show kind of goes along, because we got to touch on, as you mentioned, Tennessee and Austin Peay. We got to touch on Ole Miss and Tulane, Mississippi State. We got to touch on some of these other schools. But the focus now back on Alabama as they suffered that 10-point loss to Texas inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, a loss that has a lot of people still asking questions, and the questions that they're asking, Drew, are the same questions that we've been asking with Alabama. Offensive line, defensive line, penalties, a lot of the same questions.
Yeah, no question. And we're going to be talk to the senior analyst since 2003 for BamaOnline.com, now part of On3 Sports. And, of course, you can hear Travis on the daily BOL podcast. Also, Talkin' Tide with the Tuscaloosa News, Chase Goodbread, and SEC, the second helping with our good friend Brent Beard. And he's got a new YouTube breakdown of taking a look back at Alabama. He broke that down to what happened in the Texas game schematically. Very interesting watch if you want to go back and watch Travis take you along and break down the film. But it's always great to catch up with Travis. Travis, hope you had a great weekend. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good, and we're just going to let you take the stage, man. As you, I just was referring to the breakdown you had, nearly an hour sitting down, breaking down the key moments in Alabama, Texas. What stood out to you most in your mind as far as that led to this 34-24 win for the Longhorns inside Bryant-Denny Stadium?
Yeah, I think as much as anything, you credit Steve Sarkisian in Texas. Great preparation, clean game for the most part for Texas, and really accepted the challenge because what we had heard throughout the offseason centered on physicality. Alabama was going to get back to being the more physical team on a weekly basis, and that wasn't the case Saturday night. Texas was able to match that, if not go beyond that, and you give Texas a lot of credit. It was a veteran football team in a lot of key areas. Alabama, as Scott sort of alluded to there, was a team that, despite all the encouraging signs, there were a lot of areas and continue to be multiple areas of this team where there's going to have to be significant growth if this team is ultimately going to achieve what many think it still can. So there were reasons why you worried about this game if you're Alabama because of where it was at on the schedule. Again, the experience relative to what Alabama was bringing back was in Texas's favor, and that starts at the quarterback position, but certainly not limited to that. And I know it's easy to look at a game like this and point to the 2 interceptions from Jalen Milroe, and they were huge because they weren't just turnovers. They were field position turnovers that led to 10 points for Texas. But, Jalen was under duress for much of the night, and I thought he answered the bell on multiple occasions. But then when he did and the offense did, the defense couldn't quite muster it there in the second half. So some ways similar to last season, but again, still very early and still some things that lead you to believe that ultimately this will still be an Alabama team that, as you get into mid-October and into November, will have a chance to be very formidable.
The offensive line, Travis, when you look at the offensive line, how much of that you look at the snaps from Seth McLaughlin, how much do you want to see those improve, and what grade would you have given the offensive line?
Probably about like my grade in Algebra 2 in 10th grade. So probably somewhere in that neighborhood. No, I mean, in all seriousness, it wasn't just one guy, just like it wasn't just Jalen Milroe.
Right.
Up front, you had multiple issues. You had interior pressure that Texas was able to get right up into his face. And again, schematically and in terms of a plan, Texas deserves a lot of credit because it's one thing to have a plan. It's another thing to carry it out. I thought they baited Jalen into a couple of those throws. That was very evident, especially on the one early in the game. That was a trap coverage, and Texas pulled it off perfectly. And, that's the type of concerns you have with Jalen still at the quarterback position. Does he always see it the way it needs to be seen? And so, but when you're getting consistent pressure with 3- and 4-man rushes, I thought Texas would come after Jalen a little bit more, but didn't really have to. Had the luxury of being able to rush 3 or 4, maybe play a spy concept behind it, and keep him in the cup and give him problems from there. So I don't know what the answer is with the snaps because we really haven't seen this from Seth McLaughlin to this point. So I'm sure he's as beleaguered and trying to figure it out as anyone, but that ramps up the anxiety. When you're already getting heat on a quarterback and then you mix in the random sort of just fastball down and away, that doesn't help the situation either.
It doesn't, and we're talking to Travis Reier, senior analyst, BamaOnline.com, and and it's called Second Watch. So go check that out on YouTube as he breaks down the Alabama 34-24 loss to the Texas Longhorns inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Travis, we mentioned the offensive line and the struggles, but what about Jalen Milroe and the pocket presence, moving up in the pocket, kind of evading the pressure? I thought 2 or 3 of the sacks, the ball wasn't coming out on time. He was holding on to it too long. What was your thoughts as you went back and watched the film about Jalen Milroe and the rhythm and the timing of the passing game?
Yeah, it still seems to be a challenge for him to work through progressions. Mm-hmm. You watch his eyes, and he has a side of the field in mind from the snap, it seems like. He's either going to work left He's going to work right. He doesn't always get to his check down with his backs. In fact, I thought the other night the check down was basically, especially against man coverage, for Jalen to try to evade the pass rush and go get what he could get, run off the corners, and then he would go get what he could get with his legs. But it's not the distributor type role that we've seen from Mac Jones and Tua and some of these other guys. So while I appreciate the fact that Alabama has guys that they can spread the field with, and I thought the receivers were really good the other night when they had opportunities. It's tough if one half of the field is pretty much what you're working and it's closed, and then you're not able to come back. And that's not just a Jalen thing. When I watch Ty Simpson or I watch Tyler Buckner, I think all three of these guys are similar in terms of their attributes and their limitations. And so with that, how you go about crafting an offense, it's a difficult situation to kind of come to grips with, because I'm sure Nick Saban and Tommy Rees, they want to fully maximize these receivers and these backs. But based on where you're at the quarterback position, to maximize your win total for the season, I don't know how much of the same offense that we've seen employed by Alabama over the last 4, 5, 6 years is going to be applicable to the current quarterback roster.
Defensively, Travis, were you surprised that Alabama was not able to get any pressure on Quinn Ewers? And is it a sign that, okay, Alabama needs to tweak some things defensively, or did Texas just have that good of a game plan to limit the Alabama rush?
No, I think it's still pretty clear that in terms of interior pass rush, there's not a Quinnen Williams right now. There's not a Deron Payne. There's not a Raekwon Davis right now. So, Jaheim Otis, Tim Keenan, I thought Damon Payne made a really good play on the 4th and 2 stop that Alabama was able to get there in the second half. He caused the initial disruption that kind of led to Dallas Turner being able to make that tackle. You knew they were going to be edge-oriented. And then you look at this Texas team, and the offensive tackles are a strength for Texas. 2 really good tackles coming back. And I thought they took care of their business for the most part against Alabama's edge people. And so you look at the pass rush numbers, whether it's sacks, whether it's quarterback hurries, largely in favor of Texas in that area. And, it continues to be a question mark, I think, moving forward. I thought Alabama might bring more of the inside linebackers in the blitz and bring the extra guy. They tried to get there with 4, I think, a good bit. It just wasn't happening, and you credit Texas for that. But as far as a lingering concern for Alabama, that's going to be where it sits for the defensive side of the ball, I think.
Travis, we had someone text in and ask, wanted me to broach it with you. Were you surprised there wasn't a quarterback change, and do you see one happening in the near future? I mean, we heard Nick Saban after the game. Scott played the audio that he did think about it until the deep ball to Burton, and he decided to stick with Milroe, and they didn't discuss it as a staff. But how long is the leash for Milroe, you think?
Yeah, I thought even late in the second quarter we were getting into that neighborhood where you could reasonably think that it was the most important stretch of Jalen Milroe's Alabama career, when Alabama was down 13-3 there in the second quarter, and then they were able to get the field goal late. They lost a couple of touchdowns to penalties. We got to remember that too. That impacts Jalen and probably how we evaluate him as well. That's 2 more touchdown passes for him in the game. So penalties were a problem. I think when you have to resort to sort of backyard ball as much as Alabama did, you're going to have some of those penalties, like ineligible people downfield and holds and things like that. That's typically a byproduct of those. So you take all of that into account. But I thought even late in the second quarter before that field goal, and then even into the third quarter, that it was very much at that point for Jalen, and he answered the bell for the most part. He got Alabama into the lead at 16-13, and then defensively they gave it up on the explosive plays.
Now you turn your attention to South Florida. You go to Tampa. Now, the road trip's not going to be easy just because it's away from home. First true road game of the year for Alabama. Now, what do you want to see, and what do you think we will see Saturday in Tampa?
Yeah, this isn't USF from 20 years ago, to be sure. It's a team very much in transition. I do think it's interesting because of the new coach situation. I'm sure they're going to see some switch releases off of wide splits by the wide receivers because this is a Tennessee guy that's coming in there as the head coach, and we know what worked against his defense in Knoxville last year. So, I think that's a positive to it too. It gives you a little bit of a Tennessee prep, I would think, before you get there down the road. And for a secondary, again, that kind of struggled with explosive plays, that's, I think, a good thing. I think Alabama, though, guys like Caleb Downs getting the experience they got, and some of the other guys that were a little bit newer to the rotations, last Saturday night is going to prove to be very beneficial. I think the psyche of this team is something that I'm interested in because it's going to be a little bit of a hangover, you got to think, this week. And then you go on the road, and although you expect there to be a lot of Alabama fans in attendance Saturday, it's that 2:30 Central kick, and it'll be a little stuffy, I got to think, down in Tampa. So just how this team sort of answers to a very unfavorable situation in week 2 is something you want to keep an eye on.
And also, how big would it be to get someone like Jihad Campbell back and then playing more snaps? Because we saw a bunch of Travis Marshall. Jihad was so impressive in the preseason, but I know he's been recovering from a knee injury, Travis. They need more pop, and I think range. Deontay Lawson is a heck of a player, but they need a running mate for him inside.
Yeah, they need, it's a two-way thing. I mean, you want to be dynamic nowadays at those positions, and I think Deontay can give you some of that, but for sure they're still looking for that guy to go with him. Maybe it would have been Jihad from the start had he not had the injury, but we've seen Kendrick Blackshire. We've seen Tresman Marshall. I'm sure they would have loved to settle in with one guy, perhaps Campbell. He can play sideline to sideline, but you could tell even the other night when he did get in there, he's still not quite right. But again, hopefully he's closer to that this week. And this is a big week to figure some things out, man, because you got Ole Miss coming up, you got SEC play coming up. I know Texas A&M, Texas A&M, I guess you could call it, down in South Florida on Saturday, but that's not going to be an easy road trip to College Station. So really need to come out of this game, starting with the quarterback position, feeling like, okay, we're at least headed in a direction we truly believe in before you get Ole Miss and Tuscaloosa and Mississippi State, A&M, and that stretch coming up.
No question. Well, Travis, good stuff. Really enjoyed the second watch. Another good feature there on BamaOnline.com. Let everybody know how to connect with you guys.
Yeah, we've got the new YouTube channel for BamaOnline.com. So if you go check that out, subscribe, set those notifications, you'll get all that video content that we're putting up there at the YouTube home for BamaOnline.com. And, of course, you can always hang out with us right there at BamaOnline.com.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get a break in. Travis kind of alluded to it. What went on in Coral Gables on Saturday?
Watch that press conference. He talked really fast. 7 minutes.
We'll allude to it. We'll dive in next.
$500. Wonder how much per.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck indicator at Modus and Jack Allen. That one's going to be a no injury. That's the same intersection that they were having traffic signal problems. Zert Road and Beetle, they assigned Himsey to as an injury-type wreck, but they've canceled Himsey now, so apparently nobody hurt. Had one in Hartselle, Bethel Road, and Bethel Street. That one had a motorcycle involved, no injury. 20 in State Docks in Decatur, I don't know about injuries yet. Had one on East Thomas, I-65 in Morgan County, and one on 1 127 just off 99 in Limestone County. Those may still be trying to clear. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at $5. Coralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We were talking a little bit in hour one about the rest of the league and the SEC, and if there's a team that you can say, okay, this team impresses me the most so far through 2 weeks of the college football season, or if there's teams that you sit there and you can say, well, beginning to think they are who we thought they were again, and one of those teams was Texas A&M. One of those teams has to be, not is. One of those teams has to be Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies. The unexplainable losses continue to mount up for Jimbo Fisher, getting paid an astronomical amount of money. They go on the road to face Miami. Now, albeit Mario Cristobal addressed a lot of things in the offseason with that Miami Hurricanes team. New coaches on the coaching staff. Tried to right that ship. He's got to right the ship. He's getting paid a lot of money as well. You looked at the stadium, and it was not even half full, I don't think, for this game. Texas A&M goes on the road, at one point has a lead, and then Drew just collapses, and Miami gets the best of a ranked Texas A&M team on the road. And now once again we ask the question, what is the problem with Texas A&M? And the common denominator keeps coming back.
It's coaching.
Jimbo Fisher.
Yep. I mean, they got just absolutely smashed on the road. Miami, Mario's team, made a lot of changes in the offseason, but and again, A&M looked better offensively. Wegman played well, 336 yards passing. Did throw 2 picks, but he threw 2 touchdowns. Now I will say this: A&M's running attack wasn't great. They only rushed for 97 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. So give Miami credit. They played their run much better. But Evan Stewart had a huge game for A&M. But I'll just say this. They've got all this talent on defense, and yet they get shredded all the time. DJ Durkin's their defensive coordinator. He's from the Saban tree, but it just, ever since Mike Elko left to go to Duke, it just doesn't seem the same. Their defense doesn't seem like it's coherent. And then Tyler Van Dyke, give him credit. Mercy. He wasn't good last year. He struggled because Josh Gaddis was his OC, who's a boat anchor, who used to be the wide receivers coach at Alabama. And he
went to Michigan too, and that didn't work out so well.
He was the Broyles Award winner at Michigan, but he left Michigan to go to Miami and fell on his face. Yeah. He wanted to be the OC at Alabama, and Saban did not hire him. And so, but you got to give Van Dyke a lot of credit. 21 of 30, 374, 5 touchdowns. But the deep ball was just deadly, and that secondary for A&M is an abomination right now. And they give up a lot of yards and points. But it'll be interesting to see how A&M responds, because I really thought A&M would win this game. Remember, I picked A&M to win it.
I thought they would too.
I thought they'd be impressive. I thought their defense would play better. I just think it's a really bad loss. And I heard our boy, the propagandist, was on a plane coming back from the game with a bunch of very unhappy Aggie boosters who are, just forlorn at what's going on.
They can be unhappy all they want. They helped get Texas A&M that contract. You would have to think those boosters had a good voice in helping Jimbo Fisher get that contract.
Right.
A contract that is, when we talk about the grant of rights deal in the ACC being ironclad, and there's really not much they can do about it. Mm-hmm. There's not much Texas A&M can do about a Jimbo Fisher 10-year fully guaranteed contract.
Except buy it out, and that's
going to be
money.
2023 buyout number is $76.8 million. Yeesh. 2024, it's 67.5.
Yeah.
So normally what happens
Congrats to Jimmy Sexton and Jimbo.
Yeah, so on these buyouts, there's what they call offset clauses usually, okay? That can subtract any salary from new jobs from the buyout amount, which reduces it, okay? So lots of times a coach can have a $10 million buyout. He gets a new job. You can get the offset clause in there. You can get that buyout down to about $8 million or $7 million. A lot of schools, okay, bam, we can get that covered. Jimbo Fisher does not have that in his new deal. There cannot be an offset clause in there that can lower his buyout amount. So Texas A&M would be on the hook for $76.8 million if Jimbo Fisher wanted to buy him, if they wanted to buy him out. Now, the same thing that can be said, we said it after Florida State beat LSU. And we can say it again after Alabama loses to Texas, or Texas A&M loses to Miami. They're bad losses, okay? There's no way to deny it. They're bad losses. LSU did not look good in the loss to Florida State. Alabama did not look good in the loss to Texas. Texas A&M did not look good the loss to Miami, but all is not lost. All three of those schools could potentially win the West. All three of those schools could potentially land in the college football playoffs. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Now all three of those schools, though, Ole Miss's case did not look good against Tulane, but they were able to come away with a win. Mississippi State got a win over Arizona. The West is still alive. Everyone still has a chance to win the West, still has a chance to win the SEC championship, and still have a chance to get to the college football playoffs. The road is tough, but they also have a chance.
Yeah, I know. SEC, look, man, it's way too early in the season to write anybody off for playoffs and everything like that. when you're doing that, you're just like Dennis Doofus, and you're just trying to, drive Nick Saban into retirement and write a story you've been wanting to write for 10 years that the Alabama dynasty's over because you're a Big Ten biased moron. So that's all you're wanting to do there. But of course, A&M hasn't been able to get out from under this buyout of Jimbo Fisher, but Michigan State looks like they're getting out from under Mel Tucker's because talking about overreacting to one good half season, they give him $9.5 million a year. His buyout is $70+ million, but it looks like he has coached his last game.
Yeah, that
Michigan
is a
State.
developing situation that came across yesterday.
Yep.
Sexual misconduct allegations against Mel Tucker, and I have tried to read as much as I can on this situation, and from what I'm gathering, I'm still trying to put all the pieces together on this. I know there were some phone calls, a lot of phone calls made to an individual by Mel Tucker. Phone sex is about the best way to describe it. So it's an ongoing situation, but yes, you are right. Michigan State appears to it is a formality. There were reports yesterday that came out that said Mel Tucker had been fired, but right now he is on indefinite suspension, and this is basically the protocol that Michigan State has to go through to fire Mel Tucker with cause as soon as this as soon as the days are about over for them to have to meet this guideline for him to fire. They are going to fire Mel Tucker with
it's a Title
cause.
IX investigation.
Yes, and they do not have to pay the buyout. So Michigan State will be moving on from Mel Tucker. Mark D'Antonio, who was the head coach before Mel Tucker, he's not going to serve as the interim coach. He is going to serve as an advisory role in there for Michigan State. But the pieces are in place for Mel Tucker to be fired there at Michigan State.
Yeah, there is. It's damage control, no doubt about it. And as they told Brett McMurphy of the Action Network, they're having to proceed to fire him with cause, so they don't have to pay a penny of it. And it's the legal action they're taking, and sounds like there's more that could come out. So this is not good for Mel Tucker, who has flamed out just quickly at Michigan State after coming over from, ironically, Colorado, Scott.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, Jake Crane does not have a shortage of topics to talk about. We didn't even talk about Deion Sanders, Colorado, and the Nebraska game yet. A lot of stuff to unpack with Jake Crane. We're going to try to do it in 15 minutes when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday night, expect a partly cloudy sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the upper 60s heading into the overnight. For your Tuesday, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible mainly in the afternoon. Otherwise, we'll sit under a partly cloudy sky. High temperatures going to be topping out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Our newest wreck is in Decatur at Modus and Jack Allen. I think that's the same intersection where they had a traffic signal problem. That one's coming in as a no injury. Zert and Beetle came in as an injury type, but they canceled Himsey. Bethel Road and Bethel Street in Hartselle had a motorcycle involved, had a delayed report of injury there. They've sent EMS for one person. 20 in state docks may still be working in Decatur. Had one in Morgan County, Thompson Road near I-65 that was a no injury, and still may be trying to clear one on 127 off 99 in Limestone County. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you Monday morning from Bill Penny Toyota out here in the service department, and plenty of topics, no shortage of topics to get to our next guest when it comes to college football.
Oh, yeah. He's just coming off the Crane & Company show. They had their college football recap. And he's going to join us now, as he does weekly, on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And I'm going to give him a lot of props. He called this weeks ago, a couple months ago. He felt like Texas was going to come in and beat Alabama. He nailed it on the head. And now he's like me. I've already tweeted this morning. Can Texas handle prosperity? I think they should win the Big 12. I think they have the best team. But we'll see if they can handle that. Last year they had a near miss against Alabama, went on to have a mediocre season. Now they get it done. Can they handle it? And we're going to talk about that and more with our next guest from Crane & Company. The co-host, Jake Crane, is with us now. Jake, good morning, brother.
Good morning, gentlemen. How y'all doing on this beautiful Monday?
Well, I know you got to be doing good, man. You called your shot, brother.
Look, man, sometimes you got to point out the left field and look at the pitcher and say, throw it. Look, it's one of those things where every year, and I think, you know, college football fans in general and sports fans in general have a bad habit of, look, if all trends stayed the same, nobody would ever get better or worse. Like, and in football especially, every year is a different circumstance, right? Every team is a different team. Just because something happened in 2009 or just because something happened the year before doesn't mean it's going to happen again. But it all comes down to personnel, right? And when you look at what Texas returned on the offensive line, you looked at what they returned defensively and what they added in the portal. They brought back 5 of their 6 top pass catchers. They did lose Bijan, but Texas has a good stable of backs. So Bama had to replace a lot, and there was a lot of unknowns for Alabama. And it's just one of those things where, look, you'll never be wrong giving Nick Saban the benefit of the doubt, but when you look at the way this team is, I like to take the name off. Take the name of the team off and look at the personnel. That's the best way to go about things. And look, I thought Sarkisian had an incredible game plan from the start to the finish. He was aggressive. He mixed up looks. Not that he had Alabama, not knowing where to line up, but there's not a lot of tendencies early in the year. And Sark, that's why everybody was saying, oh, well, Texas didn't look great against Rice, so they must not be that. That's not how this works. If you watch that game, they held a lot back. And maybe Rice is a little bit better than what people thought. They just beat Houston at home. So it's a big win for Texas. But, Drew, you hit it on the head. Can they handle prosperity? The only thing more dangerous than nobody believing in you is when people are patting you on the back.
Can this Alabama team that you saw on Saturday, can they win the West still? I mean, that's the question that we've been asking, saying, hey, look, yes, it's a loss to Texas. You still have the entire season in front of you. You still have the entire SEC campaign in front of you. You know, your playoff spot's not lost. Your future is not bleak, but can Alabama win the West as constructed?
Yes. And look, Jalen Milroe, he's got to stop deciding where he's going to throw the ball before the ball snaps. It's like being a hitter and saying, I'm going to swing at this next pitch regardless. That's not, it may work a couple times, but over the long term, you're going to make mistakes, and you saw him make a couple of those. But people got to realize, I mean, Jalen Milroe's still really young. He's still really raw. I mean, again, it's not like this guy's got a ton of playing time, and he was able to out-athlete Middle Tennessee. Alabama was able to out-athlete him as a whole, and like we talked about all week, was can he make the 5 to 7 throws in this game in big moments and tight windows to be able to win the game. He made some really wow plays, and he made some really ow plays, and that's what you get from a young quarterback. We saw Quinn Ewers do that last year. We saw Bryce Young do it in his first year. It's about playing that position. Now, I do think Alabama had replaced both coordinators. You lost a generational player and Will Anderson Jr. on defense. If you notice, Quinn Ewers' jersey was just as clean as it was when he showed up. Alabama sacked him 0 times. You got a quarterback in the middle of an offensive transition, and you know, with a young guy calling plays, even though I thought Tommy called a really good game. Here's the difference in Alabama. Alabama used to be able to win games with average quarterback play and safe play calling because they had a monopoly on talent up front. They don't have that anymore. At any point in time during Alabama's great run, they could just say, you know what, we're going to line up and run it. You're going to have to put 8 in the box, 7 in the box, and when you do that, we're going to run play action and throw the ball up to Julio Jones. On defense, if you were a passing offense, didn't matter, they were mauling you. If you were a running offense, didn't matter, they were mauling you. If you did both, they were going to maul you twice. Not that Alabama's not talented up front, but they don't have a monopoly on the talent up front. It is just a different time, and football is cyclical, and Texas is the better team.
Yeah, they are. In Alabama, the quarterback position is so important. You've got to play well at the QB position. Ewers outplayed, Jalen Milroe, no doubt about it. And, Jake, I was even reminiscing with a media friend on the way back from the Alabama game covering it. I was not there as a media member. I had not started my career at that point. But he said the atmosphere, as far as all the people in town and everything around it, he said it reminded him of the 2011 LSU game. But the thing we reminisced about, and it's something you just brought up, a great point, how much football has changed even in that 12 years. The game is so different now and so much more centered around offense and the quarterback position.
Oh, it's funny. 30 years from now, everybody will be running the triple option again. It's just football is cyclical. That's how it changes. And I didn't answer your question earlier. Yes, Alabama still has a chance to win the West. Hell, I think the SEC West is as wide open as it's ever been. I think LSU still has a shot. I think Bama has a shot. I don't think we know yet anything about the SEC West. That's what's going to make it, which is fantastic for the college football consumer and somebody that loves all of college football, like we do. But, yeah, look, the game has changed. The rules have changed. I mean, heck, look at the new clock rule this year. It's changed the way you have to go about things if you're a team that wants to run the ball and burn clock, or if you're a team that wants to go at warp speed like Tennessee or Oklahoma or UCF. So, yeah, it's always changing.
Well, you mentioned LSU, you mentioned Alabama, you mentioned a bunch of SEC West teams. The Auburn Tigers go out west, literally out west to Cal. They don't play a great ball game, but you never apologize for a win. Auburn got the win against Cal. Now they're back at home. Your thoughts on that trip out west?
Look, sometimes you just got to survive in this sport.
Exactly.
You had a bunch going against you. You're flying out to the other end of the country. You're playing literally at midnight your time. It's a huge game for Cal, coming off a huge momentum win at North Texas, the way they dominated that game. And you look around the Pac-12 right now, I mean, I don't think this Cal team's I don't think Auburn's a great team. I'm not saying that. But the fact that you could go out there, play as bad as Auburn played, on the offensive side. Defensively, they were fantastic. And be able to come out with a win. And we got to remember, too, Justin Wilcox on the hot seat out there. They got to have it. Cal has to have it. So they're a cornered animal, right? And you went out to their place across the country, and you're able to win it. There's always games that you look back on during the years that you're like, oh, my goodness, thank God we just survived that game, or we wouldn't have been able to do what we did at the end of the year. So, look, when it comes down to rotating quarterbacks, I think you're going to see a little bit less of that than you saw last week. Look, Samford, they should just out-talent Samford. But when it comes down to Georgia coming in, I'm very interested to see how Hugh handles it. They were very vanilla to me offensively from a play-calling standpoint because I think Auburn thought they'd be able to go out there and bully Cal's defensive line in front seven and be able to just run their normal RPO stuff, and they weren't. See, on defense, Auburn was able to play too high and shut down Cal's running game on offense pretty much. Now, when Auburn was on offense, they weren't able to do that, and I think it kind of surprised them a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a 37-34 shootout. I never thought it'd be a rock fight, but I give Auburn a lot of credit. They got the ball to Fairweather finally too in the fourth quarter, and he's a great player, no question. But it's going to be interesting to see where Auburn goes from here. But I'd be remiss if I wanted a couple more games to broach with you. How dangerous is this game for LSU against Mississippi State?
Oh man, I mean it's scarier than the Flex Seal guy in a Speedo right now. I mean, you look at what. Look, I like Zach Arnett a lot, but see, LSU needs this type game though. You after what happened against Florida State, going and beating Grambling 80-10. You always enjoy every win, but do you really feel better about your team right now than you did after the Florida State loss? I don't think so. You want a good test, and sometimes, as crazy as this sounds, going on the road to play a big game after you kind of stumbled at the beginning of the year can be a good thing, right? It can be. It's hard for me to explain that to people, but Mississippi State's a quality ball club. They're old, right? They've got a new offense. This isn't just the drop eight, the rush three, drop eight against Mississippi State. You know what you're going to get. They're going to pass to run. This is more of a balanced offense, and that Arizona team they beat is a quality team. Jaden DeLora, he's a pretty good player. He transferred from Washington State. A lot of people are high on him. I think he's high octane. Jed Fish, I think maybe the most underrated coach in the country outside of Kyle Whittingham. But LSU going down to face a quality opponent. You're a 10-point favorite. That line kind of surprised me when I saw it this morning. But when I look at this LSU team, there's such a big difference between LSU and the way that LSU fans should feel after having a bad week one, as opposed to South Carolina fans. LSU has the personnel to fix it, right? They have good enough players to be able to actually fix it. I look at South Carolina's offensive line, and you got two options. One, you keep that very subpar personnel out there, and you just going to have to fight it. You can't make them more talented. You can have the best game plan, you can make the best decisions, you can all that stuff, but science is science. That's just how it works. LSU, on the other hand, you have good enough players to be able to not just plug the hole in the boat, but be able to get back right. And then the other option for South Carolina is you just start playing a bunch of young guys, and that's not exactly the formula for winning right now.
Well, then you have Texas A&M fans who just are still scratching their heads.
Yeah. Look, I will say this, though. I think that win said as much about Miami as it did about Texas A&M's struggles on defense. But if I'm an A&M fan, I wouldn't panic, right? This isn't one of those just your team looked inept in every phase of the game. How can you be this bad with all these resources? I thought Connor Wegman actually played pretty well. The one interception was on him. The other one, the wide receiver fell down. But I thought the play calling was good. I thought Connor made some good throws. Defensively, though, I mean, if I thought A&M was going to play bad on defense, I would have thought that Miami ran for 375 yards. I did not expect for Tyler Van Dyke, who does look healthy now, to be able to drop back and rip them apart with Restrepo and the gang that Miami has. And also, Miami's very, very high quality on defense. They've got a lot of NFL players on that defense, especially in the back end. So if you're an A&M fan, yeah, be upset, especially when you see Texas go and beat Alabama. But I wouldn't hit the panic button right now if I'm an A&M fan, especially when I look around the SEC West and you get Alabama at home in a couple weeks with a quarterback that's struggling to see it.
Well, final question for me, and I love the term you use when you describe someone that we've never seen before, a truly great transcendent player, and it's an alien. How big of an alien is Travis Hunter?
Well, look, I mean, I think he's just, I think he listens to machine noises before the game on the headset. Like, I don't, everybody keeps asking, when are we going to get alien disclosure? When is the government going to tell us? Well, just watch Colorado. I mean, just watch them and say, that's an alien. Like, if they came out tomorrow and the Pentagon called a press conference and said, hey, we want to let y'all know aliens are real, and Travis Hunter walked out of the podium, would anybody really be surprised? What's crazy is there's two experiments going on at once at Colorado. That's what makes it so fascinating outside of Prime being the head coach. One, you flip the whole roster. We've seen teams bring in a lot of players. We haven't seen them bring in this amount of players and try and get cohesion this quickly in the game of football. So that's one. The other one is the amount of snaps that Travis Hunter is playing.
Crazy.
And I think training in the elements helps a lot. But we're talking about 130 snaps. Like, I don't care if you're training on the top of Mount Olympus. Yeah. In a high-level football game, that is a lot. So how long can he do this? I don't know. I'm seeing him do TikTok dances after the game. So obviously, it's like there's always that one kid who's like 9 years old in the class that just runs around the whole time and never loses energy, and you wonder like how that happens. And you're like, oh, when they get older, they'll lose energy. Travis Hunter just never lost that energy. Like, it's the craziest thing. He's the Shohei Ohtani of college football.
Great way to put it. And another awesome segment from Jake Crane, man. Great takes. Again, congrats on nailing the Texas-Alabama pick. And let everybody know how to follow you guys and all the great conversation you got going on with Crane and company.
Definitely. Well, love coming on here with you guys. Look, I mean, it's nice to be right. I'm sure I'll be wrong about something here soon. Just ask my wife. But yeah, if you want to follow all our content, we just hit 100,000 subs on YouTube. That's the best way to find us. Head over to Crane & Company at CRAIN and Company. We have live call-ins every day now. We have a live chat. We're talking everything college football and the NFL and some Major League Baseball. Come on, Braves. Come on. I don't want to jinx it. I just want us to play bad for a week, just to get it out of our system, stop playing so good all the time, and then blow it in the first round of the playoffs. So yeah, we're live each weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central, guys. I really appreciate it. And also on this 9/11, obviously never forget, and my heart goes out to all the families and everybody involved.
Well said, brother. Thanks,
Jake.
Hey, appreciate it, guys.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to wrap up Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Our newest wreck is in Decatur at Modus and Jack Allen. I think that's the same intersection where they had a traffic signal problem. That one's coming in as a no injury. Zert and Beetle came in as an injury type, but they canceled Himsey. Bethel Road and Bethel Street in Hartselle had a motorcycle involved, had a delayed report of injury there. They've sent EMS for one person. 20 in state docks may still be working in Decatur. Had one in Morgan County, Thompson Road near I-65 that was a no injury, and still may be trying to clear one on 127 off 99 in Limestone County. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Short time. The new AP poll is out in college football. Georgia remains number one. They got 55 of 62 first-place votes. Michigan, Florida State, and Texas, USC are top 5. The Longhorns moved up 7 spots after their win. First time in the AP top 5 since September of 2010.
Wow.
And as for Alabama, they fell 7 spots to number 10. That is important because Alabama has a streak alive. They barely, though, by being number 10, they appear now in the AP top 10 consecutively now for 128 polls. Alabama has not fallen outside of the AP top 10 since 2015. So, Alabama still inside the AP top 10. They keep that streak alive. Colorado moved up 4 spots to number 18. Miami, Washington State, UCLA, Iowa are all in the top 25. Wisconsin, Texas A&M, Tulane, and Clemson out of the top 25.
Does the name Pete Crow Armstrong mean anything to you, Scott?
Pete Crow Armstrong. No.
He's the Cubs' top prospect who just got called up for their playoff run. He's an outfielder, so the Cubbies
I should know that name now.
Yeah, you will.
That is my bad. That's okay. I haven't been paying attention to the minor league prospects, so
right.
But that is good. The Cubs need it. They did not have a good series with the Diamondbacks, so they need to get hot again on the diamond. We'll be back in studio tomorrow for our Tuesday edition show. Talking Ball has been to you live from Bill Penny Toyota on this Monday. Stay safe, folks.